Assalamu alaikum, I'm Dr. Raed Muhammad from Egypt. Now we are going to solve Edexcel IGCSE Mathematics A January 2021 1H paper. 1. Peter owns a currency conversion shop. Last Monday, Peter changed a total of 20,160 Rand into a number of different currencies. He changed 3/10 of the 20,160 Rand into euros. He changed the rest. Okay, the rest here means the other 7/10, 7/10 of the original amount here. Okay, of the rands into dollars, rupees, and francs in the ratio 9 to 5 to 2. So we can write here dollar to rupee to rupees to francs as 9 to 5 to 2. Okay, and also we can put here to total. T means total. Total, we have what? We have the sum, which is 9 plus 5, 14, plus 2, 16. Opposite to 16, we have what? We have 7 out of 10 of the original amount, which is 20,160. It's very easy, but you need to concentrate with each sentence in the question, okay? Peter changed more rands into dollars than he changed into francs. Of course, it's very clear because the parts for the dollars here, we have 9 parts of the ratio to the dollars and just 2 to the francs. So it's very clear that this sentence is correct, but the question is work out how many more. The required is to get the difference between the actual amount of dollars and the actual amount of francs. And instead of calculating how many dollars we have and how many francs, we can make another column here to get the difference between the parts of D minus F. Maybe it will be easier. Okay, D minus F will be 9 minus 2, which is 7. And the required now is to get the corresponding to 7, which is X. Okay, the actual amount of this parts. So we can get X easily by multiplying this quantity by 7 and divide by 16. Okay, here this 0 can be cancelled with this 0, so I will multiply 7 times this number with 7, which is 49 times 2016 divided by 16. And the answer should be 6,174 Rand. Okay. 2. The table gives information about the speeds in kilometers per hour of 18 motorbikes as each pass under a bridge. Okay, as I told you before, you must understand well the meaning of this data in this table, at least for the first row. I want to explain the meaning of the first row. First row means that we have 10 motorbikes that pass under a bridge with speed more than 40 and less than or equal 50. Okay, and so on for the rest of that. Okay, A, write down the model class. It's very easy. To get the model class, look at the frequency column here, choose the largest number, and write the interval or the class corresponding to this largest number, which is S. Okay, S between 70 and less than or equal 80. And the meaning of this information that the largest number of motorbikes, okay, go under a bridge with speed more than 70 and less than or equal 80. Okay. B. Work out an estimate for the mean speed of the motorbikes as they pass under the bridge. Give your answer correct to 3 significant figures. Okay, as I told you before, we can write here the mid-interval of each class that can be calculated by adding 40 plus 50, which is 90, divided by 2, it will be 45, right? Okay, or you can say that it's the value which be uh, equidistant from both boundaries of the interval, right? Also here it will be 55. And if you find that all the width of the classes are equal, as our example here, 10, 10, 10, okay? Also the mid interval will be with difference with constant difference. I mean, you will add 10 each time. It will be 65, it will be 75, it will be 85. Okay, it's very easy. And then I multiply each mid interval with the corresponding frequency and then add as the following: 45 times 10, 55 times 16, and so on, and divide by the total frequency, which is 80, as mentioned in the beginning of the question, and the result is 66.375. But don't forget that the required is to correct to three significant figures, so we should write the answer as 66.4, right? Okay. 3. The diagram shows a container for water in the shape of prism. Okay, my advice to you when you talk about prism, try to look at the parallel bases. Okay, if we look at the parallel bases, we can find that each base consists of maybe two rectangles. Okay, right? Okay, let's complete. The rectangular base of the prism shown shaded in the diagram, this horizontal base is horizontal. The container is completely full of water. Okay, full of water. Toa is going to use a pump to empty the water from the container so that the volume of water in the container decreases at a constant rate. Constant rate, okay? The pump starts to empty water from the container at 10:30, and at 12 the water level in the container has dropped by 20 centimeters. Okay? Before completing the question, we must understand the sentence well and think out how we can use it in our problem. Do you know that this sentence um, can give us the rate of decrease, right? Because from 10:30 to 12 we have 1.5 hour, right? 1.5 hour, and during this 1.5 hour the water decreases as a level of 20 centimeter. Do you know, if you look at the graph here, the diagram here, this 20 centimeter, maybe all the water in the upper part, in the upper part, in the upper part here of the prism will be dropped. Okay, so we can get this volume very easily by multiplying 30 times 20 times what? Times 125. All this volume will be dropped in 1.5 hour. Okay. The question now is, find the time at which all the water has been pumped out of the container. Very interesting question. I can write now 30 times 20 times 125 needs 1.5 hours to be dropped out, right? From the container. Now the question is, what about the rest of the volume? The rest of the volume, which is below this 20 centimeter. I mean, this 40 centimeter, right? As height. The required now is to get the interval of time which the rest of the volume needs to drop out, which is 40 times 125 times 85, right? 40 times 85 times also what? 125. The question is, what x what the value of x now? Okay, so it's very easy. We can get x by multiplying this quantity by 1.5 and divide by this quantity, right? So that it will be, after simplifying, 8.5 hours. Okay, this 8.5 should be added to 12, so 12, and this of course in 24-hour system, so we will add 12 to 820, 30. It will be 2030. Okay, we must write the answer as 2030. Okay, of course we have another way to solve the problem, but I think it's easier. This is easier. You can make something like what? Method 2. You can make something like, do you know the triangle when you talk about the speed and distance and time? Of course, maybe all of you know this famous triangle. We put the distance here, and we put speed here, and we put what? we put time here. We will make a similar triangle, but we will put here what? We will put here R, which is the rate of decrease, and we will put here the time, and we will put here the volume, okay? And calculate it easily. Calculate the rate and the volume, and you can get the time by this way, okay? 4. The universal set is 20, 21, 22 till 29. A is equal to the set of odd numbers. B is equal to the set of multiples of 3. List the members of the set A intersection B. My advice to you is to list all members of A and B like the following, okay? Here I write the odd numbers, okay? And here I will write the multiples of 3 starting from 21 and then 24 and then 27, okay? Now the intersection will be where? Will be in 21 and also in 27, right? So we have here 21 and 27. Double I, A union B. Okay, to get A union B, I think we can write all the elements of A, okay, and include 24 with us in the union, right? So the answer will be like this, okay, including 24 here. So we must have 6 elements, okay. 5a factorized, probably 15y power 4 plus 20uy power 3. Okay, from 15 and 20 we have here 5 as a common factor, highest common factor. Okay, from y power 4 and y power 3 we can take y power 3 as a common factor and then open bracket. We have from the first term after dividing 3y, okay, and then plus 20 over 5, 4u, only u, okay. It's very easy question. B, solve 4 minus 3x equal 5 minus 8x all divided by 4. I multiply, cross multiplication. I will expand 4 on this side. It will be 4 times 4, 16, and then minus 3 times 4, 12x, right? Equals 5 minus 8x. Collect x together. I move negative 12x here to the right with positive sign, and then 12x minus 8x will have 4x, right? And I will move the 5 here. 5 will be 11, so the answer should be 11 over 4, right? 11 over 4. That's it. Question 6a, write 2,840,000,000 in standard form. Okay, we have here 3, 6, 9, 10 digits. So I will put the decimal point here to 0.84, 10 digits minus 1, which is 2. So we will have 9 digits here. So I will multiply 2.84 times 10 to the power of 9. Okay. B, write 2.5 times 10 to the power of negative 4 as an ordinary number. It's very, very easy. I will write here, this is the 5, and I will move the decimal point towards left, right? Towards left with 4 places. So this is the first place, and the second place here, 0. Third place here, 0 also. And this is the fourth place, okay? So it will be like this. 7. Chain invests 40,000 yuan in a fixed term bond for 3 years. The fixed term bond pays compound interest at a rate of 3.5% each year. Work out the value of Chain's investment at the end of 3 years. Give your answer to the nearest yuan. Okay, piece of cake. We know that the rule said the amount equals the principal, which is 40,000, open bracket 1 plus R, which is 3.5 over 100, all to the power of the time, which is 3 years. Okay, after approximating to the nearest yuan, the answer will be 44,349. Okay, Wang invested P yuan. The value of this investment decreased by 6.5% each year. At the end of the first year, the value of Wang's investment was 30,281 yuan. Work out the value of P. Okay, P here corresponds to 100%, which is 1, right? And after 1 year, this 100% is decreased by what? By 6.5%, which means that we have 93.5%, which can be written as what? As 0.935. The actual value here is 30,400 what? 481, right? So we can get P easily by dividing 30,481 0.935, then P will be 32,600. Okay. 8. The region shown shaded in the diagram is a path. Okay. The boundary of the path is formed by two semicircles with the same center O. Okay. These are the two semicircles, and two straight lines, this right one and this left one. The inner semicircle has a radius of 7 meters, of course it's very clear here, and also the radius of the outer semicircle will be 7 plus 2, which is 9. Okay, work out the perimeter of the path. Right, give your answer to one decimal place. Okay, it's very easy. Of course, you know that the perimeter means that if you start with any point on the corners or on the boundary, you must return back to it again, right? So if you walk like this on this arc, smaller arc at first, so to reach this point, and then go in this line segment and go back here for the larger semicircle arc, and then to reach this point and go again to this point, right? So I will add here 2 meters, sorry, and here also 2 meters to be 4, right? We have 4 meters by adding 2 plus 2, and then the circumference of the length of the semicircular arc, the smaller one, and also plus the larger one. Of course, you know that the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r, right? So when you want to get half a semicircle, or semicircle, I will divide by 2, so it will be just pi r, right? So I will multiply the radius times pi. So we have 7 pi, right? We have 7 pi, the length of the arc of the inner semicircle, plus what? 9 pi, which is the length of the arc of the larger semicircle arc, right? After simplifying to one decimal place, the answer will be 54.3. Okay. Question 9a. Simplify to x power 3, y power 5, all to the power of 4. Of course, we will expand this power to all these quantities. So we should write 2 power 4 multiplied by x to the power of 3 times 4, and then y to the power of 5 times 4, right? So the answer should be what? Should be 2 power 4 is 16, and then x to the power of 12, and then y to the power of 20, right? It's very easy. B, I factorize x squared plus 5x minus 36. Also, it's a very easy question. We put x here and x here. We are searching for two numbers such that their product is negative 36 and their sum is 5. Of course, they will be plus 9 and negative 4, right? Their sum is 5 and the product is negative 36. It's an easy question because the coefficient of x squared is 1, and also you can use your calculator to help you to solve this question, right? This is the answer. Double I, hence solve x squared plus 5x minus 36 equals 0, the same equation above, or the same expression above, okay? So we'll say x plus 9 equals 0, or x minus 4 equals 0, which means that either x equals negative 9 or x equals what? X equals 4. Here is an isosceles triangle ABC. Okay, this side is equal to this side, and this angle is equal to this angle. D is the midpoint of AC. This part is equal to this part also. DB 16. Okay, angle 65 as we see. Work out the perimeter of triangle ABC. Okay, piece of cake. Give your answer correct to one decimal place. The perimeter means that we will get the sum of all these sides, right? Okay, I will call this AD, I will call AD X. So this is X and this is also X. This is X. And I will call AB Y and also CB should be Y, right? To get the perimeter, we must get the value of X and Y at first, right? Okay, look at this angle well. Look at this right angled triangle. We know the opposite of this angle, and to get x is the adjacent, so we can use tan 65. Tan 65 is equal to what? Is equal to opposite, which is 16, divided by adjacent, which is x. And to get x, you will switch between it and tan 65. It will be 16 divided by tan 65. Also, we can do something similar to get y, but using what now? We need the function, the trigonometric ratio, which connect the opposite with the hypotenuse, which is sine, right? We can write here sine 65 is equal to the opposite, which is 16, divided by the hypotenuse, which is y, and also switch between y and the sine to be y equals 16 divided by sine what? Sine 65. And now the perimeter is what? Is 2x plus 2y, right? We can write here our perimeter of the triangle is equal to 2x plus 2y, which means that it will be 32 over tan 65 plus also 32 divided by sine 65, and don't forget to approximate the answer to one decimal place. The answer will be 50.2. Okay. 11. The cumulative frequency graph gives information about the weights in grams of 90 bags of sweets. Okay, this is the cumulative curve. It's already given, right? The required now A, find an estimate for the median of the weights of these bags of sweets. Of course, you know that the median is the weight corresponding to we have 90 bags corresponding to 45, right? This is the 45. We must go through this line, right? Like this, to streak the curve here at this point. This point is 1, 2, 3, 4 small boxes before this line, which is 150. The scale of the small boxes, I think, is 1 for each small box, right? So this value here is the median, which is 146. Is it clear? I think it's very clear. 146. Okay, grams. Roberto sells the bags of sweets to raise money for charity. Okay, thank you, Roberto. Bags with a weight greater than D grams are labeled large bags, and sold for 3.75 euros each bag. The total amount of money he receives by selling all the large bags is 93.75 euros. Find the value of D. Very interesting question, and it's indirect question. Okay. First of all, we must get how many sold bags we have, right? By dividing 93.75 over 3.75 to get the number of sold bags, right? Which is 25 bags, okay? The lower weight of these 25 bags is D, the lower limit, okay? Which means all these 25 bags have weight more than D. So we must get 90 minus 25, right? Which is 65, okay? So we must go to the cumulative frequency curve, look at the 65 here, and try to get the corresponding value of what? Of D, right? For this point, which is maybe one small box after this line, which will be 151, okay? So D will be 151. Very nice question, okay? 12, A express 4 over x minus 2 minus 3 over x plus 1 as a single fraction in simplest form, of course. Okay, we will collect them with the same denominator, which is x minus 2 multiplied by x plus 1, and here of course I will multiply 4 with or by x plus 1, and then minus 3 times x minus 2, and then expand each bracket above to have 4x plus 4, 4x plus 4, negative 3x, and here we have a common mistake, huh? Negative, negative, positive, plus 6 divided by x minus 2 multiplied by x plus 1, which can be simplified to 4x minus 3x is x, 4 plus 6 is 10, and we have in the denominator the same brackets, okay? B, expand and simplify these three quantities, okay? At first, I will keep 2x out and try to expand these two brackets together. X times x, x squared, and if we multiply x with negative 3, it will be negative 3x. If we multiply negative 5 times x, it will be negative 5x. And after adding them, we will have negative 8x, right? Minus 8x. And finally, negative 5 times negative 3 will be positive 15. And then expand to x for all these three brackets. So we'll have 2x power 3, 2x power 3, and then minus 16x power 2, right? And finally, plus 30x, okay? 13. Point A has coordinates 5 and 8. Point B has coordinates 9 and negative 4. Work out the gradient of AB. Wow, what's a very direct question. The gradient of AB should be y2 minus y1. y2, which is negative 4, say, minus y1, which is 8. Okay, divided by x2, which is 9, minus x1, which is 5. So the answer should be what? Should be minus 12 over 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 4, okay, which is minus 3. The answer should be minus 3. The straight line L has equation y equals negative 4x plus 5. Write down the gradient of a straight line that's perpendicular to L. Also very easy. The gradient of L is what? Is negative 4 directly, because it's in the form y equals mx plus c. So to get m with of the line perpendicular to L, you will get the reciprocal and change the sign, so it will be 1 over 4, right? So the answer is 1 over 4. 14. Ding is going to play one game of snooker against each of two of his friends, Marco and Jude. The probability tree diagram gives information about the probabilities that Ding will win or lose each of these two games. Okay, I think everything is clear here, right? I work out the probability that Ding will win both games. Win the first, win the second. I think it's very easy. We will multiply 0.6 times 0.9, right? And the answer should be 0.54, okay? B, work out the probability that Ding will win exactly one of the games, which means that we have two possibilities. We can say that he will win the first and then lose the second, or lose the first and then win the second. So I multiply 0.6 times 0.1 at first, 0.6 times 0.1, and then add to 0.4, okay, times 0.25, and the answer will be 0.16, right? Another way to solve this problem with it too, you can say, to answer this question, you can say 1 minus probability of win the first and also win the second, minus, sorry, plus probability of lose the first and also probability of lose the second. Okay, which is the complement meaning, right? And if you check the answer, I think it will be the same, right? 15, A equals V minus U all over T. V equals 9.6, correct to one decimal place. Of course, when you read this, put in your mind that V lies between 9.55 and 9.65, right? Also, U equals 3.8, correct to one decimal place. So So 3.8 here, or u, is more than or equal 3.75 and less than 3.85. T equals 1.84, correct to 2 decimal places. Of course, it will be more than or equal 1.835 and less than 1.845. Calculate the upper bound of the value of a, correct to 2 decimal places. Okay, so we write the following. The required is to get the a as an upper bound, right? Which is equal to, for v is in the numerator with positive sign, so of course we will get also the upper bound of v, minus u. Here u is in the numerator, but with negative sign, okay? So we will get u with lower bound, the lower bound of u, to exceed the gap here, to also exceed the acceleration, to get larger number, okay? And divide by what? T here is the denominator with positive sign, so of course it will be the lower bound of t, which means that here I will put v upper bound, which is 9.65, minus u for the lower bound, which is 3.75, divided by what? Divided by the lower of t, which is 1.835. Okay, and the answer will be as following. And as for 2 decimal places, we have 3.22. Okay. 16. The diagram shows the positions of of 3 ships, A, B, and C. A, B, and C. Ship B is due north of ship A. The bearing of ship C from ship A is 120 degrees. It's clear here. Calculate the bearing of ship C from ship B. Okay, the letter which is after from is the vertex of the angle, right? So the required is to get this angle. Don't forget, okay? And of course, to get this angle, we should get angle B here first. We can call it X. If I get X, I will get the required angle by writing 180 minus X. Okay? Calculate the bearing here and then give your answer correct to the nearest degree. Okay, very good. Do you know, I named this case SAS. Do you know SAS? SAS, which means side and an angle between and then side. In this case, you can't use sine rule. Of course, you can't use sine rule, but you can use what? Cosine rule, and also you can get the area of the triangle. So our strategy now is to get the length of corresponding side here for 120. I will get the length of BC and then use it with sine rule to get the value of this angle and subtract it further from 180 to get the required bearing. Okay, let's go. BC squared equals 150 squared plus 275 squared minus 2 times 150 times 275 times cosine 120. Of course, you know that cosine 120 is negative half, can be simplified to negative 2 and calculated to be, it will be 139,375. This is the square, okay? Now we can apply sine rule. We can say sine x. I prefer to start with my unknown. Sine x over the length of the opposite side, which is 275, is equal to sine 120. Sine 120 divided by the length of this side, which is square root of this. It will be square root of this number. I will write here BC, and in my calculator I will put root this number. Okay. Then the value of x should be sine x equals 0.6379 and so on, and then we can get x, and the bearing will be 180 minus x. Okay. For the nearest degree, the answer will be 140. Okay. A solid S is made from a hemisphere and a cylinder. The center of the circular face of the hemisphere and the center of the face of the cylinder are at the same point, which is this point, okay? The radius of the cylinder and the radius of the hemisphere are both x centimeters, very clear from the diagram also. The height of the cylinder is 20 minus 4x. This height is 20 minus 4x, okay? The volume of S is V centimeter cubed, where V is equal to 1/3 pi y. Find the maximum value of y. Show all your working. Okay. First of all, when we talk about this problem, try to think about the conditions of x, which means as x is a radius here, so x should be positive, and also 20 minus 4x should be positive also, more than or equal 0, which means that 4x less than or equal 20, so x is less than or equal 5. So if we combine these two conditions, x should be more than 0 and less than 5. Okay. Now, because we are talking about maximum value, we are talking about an application of the differentiation. Okay, let's first get the volume. The volume will be divided into two parts: the volume of the cylinder and the volume of the sphere, the hemisphere. The volume of the cylinder is pi r squared, which is x squared times h, which is 20 minus 4x, right? 20 minus 4x, and then plus the volume of the hemisphere. The volume of the sphere is 4 over 3 pi r cubed. Now we have hemisphere, so 2 over 3 pi r cubed, and r here is x, so x power 3. This is the volume of the S, okay? Now we can put V equals 1/3 pi y, or pi over 3y, right? We can also keep pi away here and expand x squared to be 20 x squared minus 4x power 3, okay, plus 2 over 3 pi x cubed. To simplify it, I will multiply by 3 and divide by pi, okay? By this way, we can cancel all the pi here, okay? All the pi here will be cancelled. And I will multiply by 3, so this 3 will be cancelled, and this 3 will be cancelled. And I will multiply these two terms only by 3. So we have now y equals 60x power 2 minus 12x power 3 plus 2x power 3. Last step, we can simplify further. So now y equals 60x power 2 minus 10x power 3. Okay. To get the maximum of y, or we can find dy by dx quickly. It will be 120x and then minus 30x squared, and equate this with 0. Take 30x as a common factor. Then we have here 4 minus just x equal to 0, which means either x equals 0, which is rejected, and x equal 4. 4 lies between our condition here, right? Between 0 and 5. Very good. So x equals 4 centimeters. Okay. Now I want to be sure that this value of x corresponding to a maximum value of y. So we can get d2y by dx squared, which is 120 minus 60x, right? 120 minus 60x. So at x equal 4, the second derivative, okay, will be 120 minus 60 times 4 will be negative, which corresponding to what? To maximum value at this point, okay? To get the y value, to get y maximum, I will put x equal 40 in the y expression. So y maximum should be from this step, from this step, 60 times 4 squared minus 10 times 4 cubed, which is 320. Okay. 18, given that 8 minus root of x times 5 plus root x equals y root x plus 21, where x is a prime number and y is an integer, find the value of x and the value of y. Okay, let us expand. 8 times 5 will be 40, and then 8 times root x will be 8 root of x, and then negative root x times 5 will be minus 5 square root of x, and then negative root x times positive root x, it will be minus x. Okay, and then we can write, okay, collect root x together. 8 root x minus 5 root x, it will be 3 root x, right? And then plus 40 minus x together. If we compare this with y root x plus 21, it's very clear that y is 3, okay, and 40 minus x is 21. 40 minus x is 21, which means that x equals 40 minus 21, which is 19, and so that x equals 19 and y equals 3. Solve the simultaneous equations. One of them is quadratic and the other is linear. Of course, we will start with the linear one. We can say x equals 1 minus 2y, right? 1 minus 2y, and put them in the first equation. But as we see, we have here x squared minus x. I prefer to take x as a common factor. If we take x common factor, we have here x minus 1, right? X minus 1, and then minus 9y equals 2y squared minus 12. Why I do this? Because by this way I reduce the power 2, and now instead of x I will write 1 minus 2y, right? And then also I will write 1 minus 2y, but 1 minus 1 will be cancelled, so I have here minus 2y only. It will make the calculations easier. Okay, minus 9y equals 2y squared minus 12. By this way we can expand now. Negative 2y times negative 2y, times 1 would be negative 2y, and then we have 4y squared, right? 4y squared minus 9y equals 2y squared minus 1. Let's collect the like terms. We have here 2y squared, and then we have here minus 11y, and then we have here plus 12 equals 0. Okay, 2y here and y here, and then 12, maybe 4 times 3. You can't put the 4 here because there will be a common factor between 2 and 4, maybe here. Okay, both signs are negative, 4 here and 3 here. It works, right? Negative 3y, negative 8y, negative 11y. Okay, equals 0, so that either y equals 3 over 2, okay, or y equals 4. And of course you can use your calculator to help you in solving this equation, and for each value of y you must get the corresponding value of x. Okay, 1 minus double y, so x here is 1 minus double 3 over 2, which is 3, which means negative 2. And also here x equals 1 minus double y, which is 8, and this means that x equals negative 7. Okay, so we collect the solution as the following: negative 2 and 3 over 2, or negative 7 and 4. Okay, 20, a and b are two similar solids, as we see. Okay, a has a volume of, and b has a volume of. B has a total surface area of, work out the total surface area of A. Okay, we can write here, I prefer to write my unknown first. Okay, surface area of A divided by surface area of B but the surface area is with square. Its unit is the square, centimeter squared, right? So I should take square root of this is equal to what? Is equal to volume of A divided by volume of B. You must arrange the right hand side as you arrange the left hand side. A is above and B is below. The volume is with the centimeter cubed, so I should get the cubic root. Okay, just substituting to get the value of SA. Okay, it will be as following. After substituting with the volumes and simplifying, we have 27 over 64 and the cubic root, and then we have 3 over 4. Okay, then I will square. I will square to get SA. SA will be SB, which is 1120 times 9 over 16, right? And this can be simplified to, the result will be 630, okay? 21, a curve has equation y equal f of x. The coordinates of the minimum point on this curve are negative 9 and 15. Write down the coordinates of the minimum point on the curve with equation y equals f of x plus 3, which means that we have a point in f of x and we want to get the new coordinates of the point after transformation. Of course, you know that this is translation parallel to x-axis and exactly to the left with 3 units, which means that we will minus the x coordinate here with 3, minus 9, minus 3 is minus 12. So the answer is minus 12 and hold y as it is, 15 as it is, okay? Double I y equal 1/3 f of x. Here the coordinates of y will be changed by multiplying by 1/3 as it is and hold negative 9 as it is, okay? So here 1/3 of 15, 1/3 times 15, which is 5, okay? The graph of y equals a cosine x plus b degrees for x more than or equal 0, less than or equal 360 is drawn on the grid below. Okay. Given that a is positive and that b between 0 and 360, find a and b. Okay. My advice to you is to draw the original curve of cosine x as following. Okay, this is the original curve of cosine x. Okay, and this is 90 and this is 180 to 70, 360. Okay. First of all, we know that cosine x lies between negative 1 and 1, right? We call this the amplitude, as you know. Now we have a, or we can say y from the figure lies between negative 2 and 2, right? So it's very clear that the y coordinates of the maximum and minimum values multiplied by 2. So we are sure that a is 2, okay? Cosine x plus what? Okay. Look at this. This point is in the old cosine x, the original cosine x, right? Which means that we have 90 and 0 in the cosine x. Okay? It moves now to what? To 0 and 0, right? Which means that we hold y as we see, but the x coordinate, we make 90 minus 90, right? We move it to the left with 90 degrees. So of course b here is 90, b here is 90, as also you will see in all the points here. Okay, this point moves 90 degrees to the left, 90 degrees to the left. Okay, all these points. If you want to be sure that you are correct, try to substitute with some points, like what? Like the 0. If you put x equals 0 here, cosine 90 is 0, 0 times anything will be 0. Okay, put 90 please. Cosine 90 plus 90, cosine 180 is negative 1 times 2 is negative 2. So we are right. And also put 180, it will be 270. Cosine 270 is 0. Put 360 and you can try by yourself, okay? Okay. So A is 2 and B is 90 degrees. 22. The function f is such that f of x equals x squared minus 8x plus 5, where x less than or equal 4, express the inverse function of f inverse in the form f inverse of x equals. Okay, this is a very interesting question, okay? Because we have x squared and x, we must complete the square at first, you know? F of x equals, we make x minus half of the coefficient of negative 8x, which is negative 4, and then make all squared, and then subtract the square of 4, which is 16. By this way, do you know all this expression is equivalent to x squared minus 8x only, okay? And so that I will write plus 5 as it is, okay? So again, replace f of x with y now, equals x minus 4 all squared. Negative 16 plus 5 will be what? Will be negative 11, okay? And then we can change x with y, or we can make x as subject. It's the same thing. Try to make x subject now, okay? I will write x minus 4 all squared is equal to y plus 11, and then take the square root, but don't forget that x less than or equal 4. X less than or equal 4. Do you know what does this mean? We know that when we take x minus 4, okay, x minus 4, when we take square root, it should be positive or negative square root of y plus 11, right? But as x less than 4, we conclude that this value minus 4 will be negative, right? Because x less than 4, which means x minus 4 less than or equal 0. So I should take the negative part here, not the positive part. It's very tricky question, okay? A very interesting one. So finally we can say that x equals 4 minus square root of y plus 11, and finally change x and y values places, so we can write y equals 4 minus square root of x plus 11, and finally we can write f inverse of x is equal to this expression, okay? It will be 4 minus square root of x plus 11. Of course, I will advise you also to make something like check your answer. Do you know how? Try to get f of small value, f of simple value like f of 0, okay? Who can tell me f of 0 equals what? F of 0? 0 is in our domain, right? Less than 4. F of 0 equals 5, right? F of 0 equal 5. Do you know if we are right, f inverse of 5 should be 0. Let's try. Let's try. 5 plus 11 is 16. Root 16 is 4, and 4 minus 4 is 0. So we are right. Alhamdulillah. Okay. 23. OAB is a triangle. Okay, as we see now, OAB is triangle. OA vector is equal to 2A small vector, and OB vector is equal to 2B vector. This is 2A small vector, and this is 2B. Okay, and then M is the midpoint of AB. Okay, this vector will be equal to this vector. We can from now find AB, right? Because AB means what? Means minus 2A plus 2B, or 2B minus 2A, which means that this part only is B minus A vectors, and this is B minus A vectors, okay? Okay. When I read some question, my advice to you is to try to use each information, okay, before completing the question. P is the point, P is the point. Sorry, N is the point on OB such that ON to NB is equal to 2 to 1. Very good. This part is 2, this part is 1, so all the parts will be 3, right? All parts will be 3. So we can write the following. We can write ON vector. We can write ON vector is equal to what? Is equal to 2/3 of OB, which is 2B vector, right? Which means 4 over 3 B vector. Also, we can write NB as 1 NB vector is 1/3 of what? Of OB vector, which is 2B small vector, okay? Okay, P is the point on AN such that OPM is a straight line. OPM is a straight line, okay? Means that we can write OP as as something like KOM. We can put this value corresponding to OP, and we can write that OP vector equal K times OM as a whole, because I'm sure that P and M and O on the same straight line or collinear. Okay. Um, okay. Sure. Use a vector method to find OP to PM. OP to PM. Okay. Our strategy is to get OP vector by two ways. One way through OM vector, and the other way maybe through N or through A. OA vector plus AP vector. Okay, let's go. First, I will get OP from as a part of OM. Okay, so you must get OM vector at first. OM vector, as I told you, is OA vector, which is 2A, OA capital vector, which is 2A small vector, plus from A to M. From A to M, as I told you, will be B minus A vector. Again, this part is negative 2A and this 2B. So we can say that AB vector is 2B minus 2A. So AM is half of this, which is just 1B minus 1A. Okay? And to get OM, it will be 2A vector plus B minus A plus B minus A vector, which is B vector minus A vector. Okay? Sorry, plus B vector plus A vector. Okay? And as we suppose that this part is K, we can write OP vector as K multiplied by OM. We can write OP vector as K multiplied by OM, or we can write now that OP vector is equal to KB plus KA, or KA vector plus KB vector. Okay, this is equation number 1. Now we want to go to find also OP vector, but along what? Along point A. So OP vector will be equal OA vector plus AP vector. We should also name AP as L. I will call it L, okay? And it will be a part of AN vector, right? So again, I will write now OP vector as OA vector, which is 2A small vector, plus AP vector, okay? To get AB, we can write 2A vector plus L multiplied by AN vector. And also, what's AN? What's AN vector? AN vector is AO vector plus ON vector. And we already get ON. Did you remember? Right? So, AN vector again. AN vector is negative 2A vector plus this quantity, which is 4 over 3 B vector. Or we can write 4 over 3 B vector minus 2A. Okay? So we can write it as 2A vector plus L multiplied by 4 over 3B vector minus 2A. We can simplify it as following. I want to take A vector as a common factor, okay? So I have here 2 minus 2 minus 2LA vector. I will take A vector as a common factor. So I have 2, okay, minus 2L, right? Minus 2L. This is times A vector. And then plus 4 over 3L B vector. Now we will call it 2, and I will use 1 and 2 to get the values of K and L by comparing the coefficients now, okay? Comparing coefficients for A vector, I mean the coefficient of A here, A vector is K, and the coefficient of A vector here is 2 minus 2L. So that's the first equation we can get. K equals 2 minus 2L, right? And also we have another equation. Okay, if we look at the coefficient of b vector of the first equation, we have also k. And for the second equation, we have here 4 over 3l. We can solve them simultaneously. Maybe the best way is to equate both of them because both of them are k, right? So from these two equations, we can say 2 minus 2l is equal to 4 over 3l, right? Which means that 2 equals 2l plus 4 over 3. 2 means 6 over 3, right? 6 plus 4 will be 10 over 3l, which finally means that L equals 6 over 10, or we can say 3 over 5, right? 3 over 5, very good. And since L is 3 over 5, we can find K to be 4 over 3 times 3 over 5, which will be 4 over 5, okay? Don't forget the required. The required was to get OP to PM. OP to PM, and we get K as what? And we get the value of K now as 4 over 5, right? So we can write now OP vector equals 4 over 5 OM vector, which means that OP to PM, if OM is 5 parts, OP will take 4 and PM will take just 1. Okay? Last question, 24. An arithmetic series has first term A and common difference D. The sum of the first two n terms of the series is 4 times the sum of the first n terms of the series. Find an expression for A and D. Very interesting question. Okay, we will write now this information as a math. We will translate it to math as S2n is equal to 4 multiplied by Sn, right? Okay, S2n from the formula sheet, we can write it as 2n over 2 multiplied by 2a plus this, which is 2n minus 1 all times d, right? Equals to 4 times just 1n here over 2 multiplied by 2a plus just n minus 1 all times d, right? One can tell me we have a lot of unknowns n and a and d. Let's try to simplify it and you will see. Okay. First of all, this bracket here multiplied by n and this bracket multiplied by 2n, right? After simplifying now, we have here 2, right? And this 2 will cancel this 2. We can eliminate n by dividing by it because n doesn't equal 0, you know? N can't be 0, so I will divide by it. This means that I will not divide by 0, you know. So 2a here plus d 2nd 2nd minus d is equal to, here we have 2n, don't forget, huh? Just 2 times 2a, which is 4a, plus we will multiply dn, but we have 2 outside, so 2nd, also minus d has 2 outside, it will be what? Minus d, and we have 2, it will be minus 2d, right? Okay, so now we have the following: 4a minus 2a, it will be 2a here, and 2nd will be cancelled with 2nd, okay, when we move this to the right hand side. And finally we have what? Finally we have minus 2d plus d, which is minus d. This is equal to 0, or we can write that double of a equals d, right? Which means that a equals half d as the question asks. to get A in terms of D. So A is equal to half D. Okay, thank you very much and bye bye.